has that one irrational fear, and mine is of tornadoes. This all started for me one day in 3rd grade. I was going home on the bus with my friend, and so school had just gotten out. We walked out the door, and it seemed awfully dark for 3 o'clock, so I kind of look up at the sky, and there's like these really dark clouds, and they were so eerie and creepy, and they just seemed to swarm all around me. And immediately I got this gut feeling that, oh my gosh, something bad is going to happen. But what do you do? So I just went ahead and got on the bus like every other student had, and I overlooked the fact that the bus driver wasn't sitting there, and I just went down the aisle like every other kid. Everyone was kind of like laughing and pointing at the clouds, making a joke out of it, but I didn't think it was funny. And as I sat down in my seat, the tornado sirens went off. And all the laughter and chatter and laugh about the storm suddenly ceased. And we all look up at the front for instruction from the bus driver who isn't there. And you can hear the wind pick up, and it starts howling through the windows, and we're all freaking out. What do we do? I look out the window and I see students fighting through the leaves that are circling everywhere, trying to get back inside the school, and my bus driver isn't there, hasn't let us off the bus. That's when I took charge and I told everybody we needed to get off the bus now. And so thankfully everyone listened, and we're all like fighting through the wind and the leaves to take shelter into the school. And thankfully we all made it there safely, and the tornado didn't hit the school, but I learned a very important proverb that day. When there's smoke, there's fire. Now every time that I get that gut feeling in my stomach that something bad's gonna happen, I know that's the smoke, and I know that I need to get myself out of that situation.
Everybody close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. Picture yourself standing on the edge of a cliff, at least 50 feet off the water. The sun's in your eyes, beads of sweat on your forehead. You turn around to walk back, but you see a crowd of people staring back at you, and they start to chant, jump, jump. But you can't jump, not yet. Your chest tightens as you inch forward, peek over the edge, and become paralyzed. Paralyzed with fear, paralyzed with anxiety, paralyzed with hesitation. Open your eyes. By definition, hesitation is a delay due to uncertainty of mind or fear, and they say he who hesitates is lost. But at that moment, I didn't feel lost. In fact, I didn't realize the significance of that moment until looking back on it. What I did realize is that I shouldn't live in fear of anything, because living in fear isn't living at all when you really think about it. And if you go through life being afraid of things and hesitating to do what you really want to do, then you'll miss out on all the great things that life has to offer. So ask yourself, would you jump?
Okay. So it was the first game of the basketball season. We were playing against Kokomo. And in the 4th quarter, Cameron Shaw was shooting a free throw. He wasn't always the sharpest free throw shooter on the team, so I was prepared to rebound. And he missed the 2nd free throw, and it went to number 54, who played for Kokomo. And I approached him to guard him, and that's about all I remember. Next thing I know, I hear my dad yelling, and I'm waking up, breathing in what seems to be my own blood. And I sit up and have a towel on my face, and then I feel the comforting grip of Stacy McGuire pulling me from my back. And I was picked up by my coach, my dad, Stacy, and my assistant coach, and carried to the training room. And I don't remember much of it, but I really wanted to go back out and see the varsity play. And that's when I realized when I got in the training room that I was hit in the face by this huge kid, number 54 from Kokomo. He was a big kid. He was very big. And all I wanted to do was go back out and watch the varsity play. But next thing I know, Stace McGuire comes up and touches my leg and says, "We have an ambulance outside waiting for you." So I'm loaded up in this gurney and taken out to the ambulance and taken to the hospital. And at the hospital, I found out that I had a broken nose, smashed sinuses, a concussion, and whiplash. Whiplash, what people get from car accidents, I got from an elbow to the face. So, in the end, I like to think that I live by the proverb, 2 wrongs don't make a right, because I didn't retaliate. Mainly because I couldn't retaliate, because I was unconscious for the whole thing.
So there I was, face to face with about 2,000 lines of code, about 10,000 words that are, to any other normal human being, would look like jumbled up symbols, letters, and sentences that make absolutely no sense whatsoever. How did I get myself into this, is all I could wonder. And that started about a year ago when I signed up to be a head programmer for a large gaming community under Team Fortress 2. So while everybody's out playing basketball or helping orphans or doing very helpful things to society, I'm sitting in front of a pale computer, of the pale glow of a computer, listening to the hum of the computer, pale-faced, red-eyed, and just trying to make my way. Because I signed up saying I have a lot of experience for this. I knew jack squat about programming on a computer. So I had to work through these 2,000 lines of code with no idea what I was looking at, with no idea what I was doing, and with definitely no idea how this was going to end up. About 5 days later, hours of work thrown into a page of unreadable words, I finally got what I thought was the working code. I threw it into the program, loaded it up onto the server, and it did not work. I promptly, with a smile, slammed myself into my keyboard. 10 more hours of work later, I finally developed the working code. I was lauded amongst the community of about 700 people, plus a couple thousand regulars, and I was deemed as one of the best, most technologically knowledgeable people on the server. And it just proved to me that where there's a will, there's a way, because I had no idea how to do this at first. And yet, after just hours of honest hard work and hours of researching on how to do any of this, I finally got through it all. And this helped me convince my father to get me out of the medical career that he had picked out for me and into computer technology. And so I left medicine on the side of the road and have never looked back. And so I am truly grateful for that moment and that one white lie, which showed me that when there's a will, there's a way.
Walking out of the B&B at the age of 15 with a freshly printed off permit made me feel like I was on top of the world. I walked out of the B&B with my mom into her brand new car she had just bought the day before and into the driver's seat for the very first time. I forgot she was sitting in the driver's seat until she gave me the usual mom's speech about being cautious about driving and to be careful because she didn't want me to wreck. I then ignored her and acted like I knew what I was doing. So I put the car in reverse, put my foot on the brake, and looked to both sides of me to make sure it was clear. I thought I was in the clear, so I started to accelerate backwards, forgetting to look directly behind me. I then felt as if I slammed into a brick wall. In fear, I got out of the car and went to the back to see what it was. It was an old beat-up truck. I then realized I hadn't made it out of the parking lot, my first parking lot, without a dent. I learned from this experience that every cloud has a silver lining because since that day I've never gotten in a crash and I've learned to be a more cautious and safe driver.
Swim 200-meter butterfly. That's what I asked myself when my coach told me I'd be swimming the event at our next swim meet. Unfortunately, this is one of those events where something was easier said than done. When we got to the meet, I realized that the 50-meter pool I'd be swimming in was a little bit bigger than the 25-yard pool I'd grown accustomed to. After a grueling warm-up, I realized I'd bitten off a little bit more than I could chew. I went to my coach and asked to withdraw from the race, but he told me with a little bit of a smile it was too late. So the next morning I found myself on the block, and instead of feeling the usual butterflies of anticipation and excitement for a fast race, I was feeling dread and despair as I realized this would be the hardest challenge of my endurance I would ever face. I dove in and felt the cold embrace of the water. 50 meters went by, another 50. It didn't seem that difficult, but then I hit the wall. As I turned back to finish the last 100 meters, everything went downhill. My arms felt like lead. My body was a parachute. Each length and each stroke, the pool seemed to get longer. I looked over and I saw that my coach was just smiling and giving me the thumbs up as the rest of my team laughed at me. all I could think was of ways to give up. Should I just swim to the side? Or, as a last resort, should I just sink to the bottom and hope someone saved me? In the end, I finished the race, and I realized that the 200-meter butterfly was going to be the hardest thing I would ever face in my life. So because of that, now, for me, the sky is always the limit.
The day I was born, my mom asked my brother, "Jared, what do you think of your new baby sister? Do you like her?" Jared replied by looking my mom straight in the face. He had a frown on his little lips, and he looked at her and he was like, "No!" He literally looked like this, crossed his arms, and he just stomped straight out of that room. He did not look back. My dad's like, "Oh my gosh, where is he going?" Some siblings may say that, they hate their other sibling, that they're annoying, but honestly I can say that my brother's my best friend. We've come so far since 17 years ago when I was born. My mom asked him that question, and I can now say that he really is someone that I admire and that I look up to, and that I really do look for guidance through him. We've gone through so much in life, and we have learned to stick together through thick and thin. Having our parents divorce has taught us to rely on one another and to look through each other for strength, and when you're feeling weak, you can lean on each other. This is when it all happened, the countdown. I've had it since 100 days, and he finally was leaving. The night before he was off to Bloomington, I was laying in my bed thinking about all of our childhood memories, all of the things that we've been through together, and it finally dawned on me that Jared is someone that I can't go without, and that he is someone that I honestly look up to. So, people have always told me through this, keep your head up, it's going to be fine. You're going to get through it. It's just, you're going to get spoiled when you leave. You're going to love it. But you know what? It's easier said than done. Growing up with someone, you have these childhood memories. You have the things you look back on when you're older that you tell your kids about, that you relive through the memories and the stories, and when you're around a campfire. It's the memories. But now I can say that I'm honestly excited for my next stage of life, what college has to bring for all of us. We've worked so hard for this, and we each have our own reasons as to why we are going through our next stage in life. And my reason is that I am excited to continue my relationship with my brother as I attend college next year as a freshman in Bloomington.